This is your radio, Cayman.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a discussion slated with our good friends from the Lighthouse School to talk about a fantastic event the day coming up on Saturday. But you know what? With the intellect, interest, and intrigue that did this position, we might change that and talk about... No, we're going to talk about what we had planned. Want to know what it is? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome, and thanks to all who give so tirelessly of their time, their talent, and their treasure, as Miss Marley reminds us. And it's really a pleasure to be able to welcome such wonderful people to our studio, and in particular today. We tried something for you, and I wonder if it would work. Now, Miss Lord, do we start with you first to do what we said, and as you introduce, how do we do that?
Okay,
let's try it.
We are here today with Miss Gracie Ann Joan Briscoe, who is a teacher at Lighthouse School. She's been teaching for 20 years, I think, and she currently works with our youngest children at the school, so our little tiny ones.
Yeah. Little tiny ones?
Yeah, about that big.
See, this is where the video comes in. She measured that to what, 6 inches? Thank you, Miss Laura. And that was Gracie Ann.
Yeah. Good afternoon, beautiful Cayman Islands. With me, or within studio, we have Miss Laura Brind from the Lighthouse School. She is a wonderful teacher. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you both for doing and for our listeners, normally I'll introduce or ask our guests to introduce themselves, and they were so kind, and this is what educators are. They have to facilitate, they have to empower and encourage and nurture. Mm-hmm. And I ask that because in today's world, sometimes we find it hard, I think, to say nice things about people. Gradually it's changing. I remember an exercise, I want to say over 20 years ago, it's probably longer than that, but since I'm so young, it wasn't much longer. And the exercise was, here are work colleagues, they'll share this with us before, and you got X seconds, not very long, write down, all of the bad things you don't like about, and sometimes these are people that you don't know that well. And there are people where there's 10 seconds or 30 seconds, you have to take the pen from them, stop, I only got more to say.
A few stuff. Yeah.
And then you say, okay, now, say some good things about the person. They're still on point 1. A minute later, 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
And then what's even worse, when someone says something nice to someone, it was so evident that they were uncomfortable with that compliment, even if they believed it knew it to be true. You're really an excellent accountant, meticulous. Your work always on time, it's accurate. You're so accommodating with the requests. You're able to explain, and no matter how true and well received the compliment is intended, the person feels uncomfortable. There's an ulterior motive. And so in asking you to do that little exercise, I'm hoping that through you and come Saturday, as a community, we start to be respectful and very cognizant of the differences.
Yeah.
But don't let them divide us, because we're more alike. So, Christian, what do you think? I mean, this is a beautiful world, as you said.
It is a beautiful world, and it is a diverse world, and that is the reason we're supposed to, as individuals, accept each other for who they are. Because everyone in this world, we're unique, and we stand out in our particular and our special way. Yeah, so we just have to accept everybody as who they are and work with them.
I mean, I know that even in the Cayman context, Miss Laura, that we claim publicly to be a Christian society. At least we're very religious. We seem to be respectful. But even public prayer, the legislative assembly, or whether it's a government gathering, whether it's a church, whether it's you privately at a meal in a restaurant, sometimes that offends some people, right? And I said to share that the differences that are in our communities can be so easily celebrated if we look with that ethos of loving, kind, understanding, accommodating, accepting, and not tolerant of something that is going to marginalize or offend, but tolerant of the differences that could unify us. So, Miss Laura, when we see, and I speak to some of the things John Moore used to share with me, whether it's the cooking at the Mary Miller Hall sometimes with your team, you wouldn't know unless you knew. Our students are the same. They have the same love for life, the same desire to succeed. They laugh, but thankfully even more than some of us. That's a beauty that we can share if we would share with them. So for this and the whole issue of supporting not just the school but the event, but understanding that autism is something that we look at sometimes, and we kind of want to be polite, but we don't really necessarily want to participate in helping to navigate.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to ask questions. There's nothing shameful about having autism. There's nothing shameful about being different. So it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to celebrate it and to champion people who are different from ourselves, but also to champion ourselves. Like you said, like we feel like we need to be humble, but actually, it's okay to celebrate ourselves and celebrate everybody. So kind of our theme this year was be together and stand out. So that's about kind of, we're all together as a community, so it's about community, but we all stand out, and so that's something to be celebrated, that we stand out,
and for us to embrace each other too.
Embracing.
I
remember Pastor Al sharing one time, there are some things that we may not be able to embrace at the time, we don't want to, but we need to know that we have the strength to endure it. But when you can embrace something, Radio Cayman had a public service announcement long ago, and they talked about, it's okay to be an original. It's one of you can be an original. And I liken that to the fact that it's only one of us. We're alike in many ways, but we're so different. Twins,
they're
identical.
Different,
They're different. That may be challenging for you. Even the parents sometimes go, Laura, Mike, is that you? But they're different. Right? So, Miss Grace, from that perspective, that difference can bring so much joy and laughter and love to our lives.
Yes, the difference can bring laughter. And the thing about it is, when working with a child who is autistic, you learn so much from them. It turns out to be they are your teacher and you are their student, as you have to learn their abilities. You have to learn. I mean, it is so good where this is concerned, as you learn a lot of stuff from them.
Okay. Can I ask if it's okay? Because I think we hear oftentimes many things, and we repeat it, even with the sense that as a professional in a certain area that we might think, well, that person is saying it must be the Bible leaf, as it were, or that they understand it. But even as parents or as adults, sometimes we just repeat, and somebody's on the spectrum, that means this, and we interpret, or someone's autistic. Could I maybe ask of you, we'll take the break if you wish, when we come back, ask, what is autism, what does that mean, what are the different parts of it, and more importantly, as an educator, as you're teaching the students, what is that like? I certainly agree with you that as adults, we can learn a lot from children.
Yeah.
If we actually would be willing to listen and allow them to teach, right? So could we talk about that so that maybe that'll give us a little bit more of sensitivity and an informed perspective, and not just randomly repeat things that we heard some talking here say, even that person may be in a higher position.
Yeah.
Could that be fine?
Yeah, of course. We got plenty to say.
Yeah.
And we're going to get you to be part of what's coming up on Saturday. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Are you kidding me?
Hey girl, what's wrong?
My eyeliner foundation just ran out and I have to leave Savannah in 15 minutes.
That's easy. Just stop at Savannah Pharmacy. That's where I get all of my makeup, and for a great price too.
Really?
Really, girl. Where are you going?
To Savannah Pharmacy, duh.
Wait, I'm coming too. Ran out of my favorite nail polish.
Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village provides you with more than just prescriptions. Savannah Pharmacy is just around the corner with everything you need and the hours you need it. Visit us today for fast, efficient, and professional service. We are here as a team to assist you while taking care of your health. Call us today at 946-3336.
Ensuring your walls, ceilings, and floors are properly sealed against air leaks is an important step in lowering your monthly energy bills. Even small gaps around windows, under doors, or around lighting and plumbing fixtures can add up to as much air loss as having an open window.
The do-it-yourself energy audits on energy.gov.ky make it easy to find ways to save energy and money in your home or business.
Complete an energy audit of your home or business before 31st of May 2023 to be entered into a prize giveaway. Prizes include a $5,000 gift certificate to Home Gas and gift certificates to Cooling Pros, Foam Pros, Costyless, and Foster's.
To learn more, visit energy.gov.ky today and follow the National Energy Policy on Facebook and Instagram.
Attention all runners and walkers. It's time to lace up your shoes and join us for our annual Deputy Governor's 5K Challenge Run Walk event. Whether you are a seasoned runner or just looking for a fun way to get some exercise, this event is for you. Join us on April 30th in Grand Cayman. Do something good for your body and have some fun while supporting our local community. Proceeds benefit Loud Silent Voices, the Cayman Islands Red Cross, and the United Against Bullying Foundation. The DG's 5K could not happen without support from our platinum sponsor, Appleby, and gold sponsors, Butterfield, Credit Union, DART, Davenport Development, EY, and our halfway point sponsor, Cynical. $25 for adults and $10 for kids 17 and under. Register at www.racecaribbean.net. Don't miss out on this opportunity to have fun, get fit, and support our community. See you at the start line.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to speak to friends at Lighthouse School. As Laura together with Gracie and thanks for joining us. And as we're going into the break, we certainly want to maybe remind listeners first, if it's okay, there's a wonderful event you have coming up on Saturday. Right? This Saturday. Today's Thursday, Miss Susan. So that means Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So before we sort of get into the questions asking, what's coming up on Saturday? Want to let people know?
Sure. So 7:15 at the Commander Bay Crescent. So 7:15 a.m. Commander Bay Crescent. We are doing our annual fun run walk. So it's a 5K run if you want to do that, or you can do a shorter walk if you prefer. We'll also be drawing our raffles. So we've got some great prizes. We got some round ticket from Cayman Airways. Go anywhere they go. We got a Kimpton voucher that's been sponsored by Walkers. So we're going to do a raffle draw. So you have to buy a ticket for our event in order to get entered into the raffle. And we'll also have some free refreshments. Some stuff's provided by Hurley's. And also we're going to be doing some face painting mainly for the youngsters. But if anybody else wants to get their face painted, that they can do that as well. So it'll be hopefully a fun, family-friendly event. And even if you don't want to run, we'd like people to come along and just show their support and say hi to us.
Yeah, supporting individuals with autism is really great, especially for the Cayman Society. And as we have said before, everyone is unique. Come and support our uniqueness and embrace us for who they are and who we are overall.
And that's it, who we are, and the fact that more and more we can look at each other and see that we're more like. And so I was asking, as educators, we hear about autism, maybe what it is, and are there different components to it, but specifically teaching a child with autism. So if it's okay, give us an insight so we can be maybe a little bit more sensitive and better informed. Ms. Laura?
Well, I think the main things we think about when we're teaching young people with autism, one of the big things is around communication. I think that's one of the most well-known things around autism. It's not the only issue, but a lot of our students may be either then they have difficulties with understanding what we're saying or difficulties with talking themselves. So we use a lot of visual supports as aids to help the children to understand what we're saying to them, but also they can use them. So we have some of our students have high-tech iPads that they'll use, and they can press the buttons on there to communicate to us, because some of them can't use their voice to communicate, but they can use these high-tech iPad devices to communicate with us. So that's kind of a big difference in terms of what we do, is that everything we do, we have visual supports to help them to communicate. We've also been a lot of this fundraising this year is about we want to get some more flexible seating. So again, people with autism often have sensory difficulties, and some of them may find sitting on a seat like we're doing now tricky. So we've got all these lovely
bouncy chairs
that you can move about on. And it really makes a difference, because again, we don't want our students to have to sit stock still. If they want to move their hands or fiddle with things or bounce on their seat, if that's what they need to do to focus, that's fine. Like we all have our own things that we do. We all fidget with things
for us to regulate,
and we might jiggle our leg. So some of our students just need a little bit extra support to help them to focus. So these kind of flexible seats are really great, because they're allowing them to kind of get the movement that they need while still being able to participate in the lessons.
And thank you for sharing that, because even I would imagine that many of us as adults listening now, from the playing with our pens or twiddling, the paper between our fingers or moving our legs, we do that. We don't think that's an issue. We don't even think about, consciously doing that. And it's only when it's, you do that. We're trying to concentrate. We're distracting ourselves from something in order to focus on something else. Right, Ms. Gracie?
Yeah, it's for me, where it's concerned, it's a form of regulation. At times, we're in a particular situation, just as children or students who are in a particular situation or a learning environment that they have to regulate themselves. So, as Ms. Laura said, these equipment that are purchased based on this run and walk, it is used to assist them. So, for example, I have a student within my class, he has to get breaks. So even though we're teaching and learning is carried out, he has to get, like, for example, 5 minutes break, either on a trampoline, a mini trampoline, he has to regulate himself, or he has to be on a small ball, jumping, bouncing up and down, and then after that he's regulated to continue within the lesson. Yeah, so everybody regulates themselves.
We have one of the listeners that would like, if possible, to inquire about the cost of the flexible seating. Maybe it's a possible avenue through additional donations, but do we know the cost of that flexible seating?
Well, we've made one order through Amazon, which we spent $7,000 on, but we want to do another order. So we've got lots of different types of seating. So I don't know how much each individual item cost, but yeah, we've got like about 130 students in the school. They don't all have autism, so it's not something that they all require, but I'd say about 70 of our students probably.
The population has increased over the years.
We've seen it.
Based on the last order, if I'm correct, the lowest price for one, which is something of which is quite simple, is about $40 That's the lowest price. It might raise now because everything is the prices are going up for almost everything. And I think the most expensive one is for $200 Yeah.
And as you shared, I can imagine that even as parents or as coaches or teachers, anybody who have been in the space with young people, they need space. Not everybody wants to be sat in a desk like we did before, where you felt like you were chained. You want to stretch your legs a bit. You may be that person who thinks when they're standing or walking or what have you. So moving around, give them that sense.
Moving around is good, as they need not to be restricted most of the times. And they have received freedom. So
you look even increasingly at journalism and broadcasting. We're seeing where the broadcasters have moved from behind the desk to now they're standing. Sometimes at a desk or just loosely, not just the weather lady giving us the latest meteorological report. We're moving. We're starting to appreciate that the body isn't confined or expected to be confined to this space. What about our children? Full of energy.
Yeah,
a lot.
I think that when we talk about regulation, it's something that we all have to do. So it's either when we're either we might be feeling too tired and we need to kind of wake ourselves up,
right?
Or we might be feeling too energized, we might be too anxious or excited, and we need to do things to calm ourselves down. And we all have strategies that we use to help us to do that. So like you said, might be pacing around or fiddling with a pencil, and whatever it is that we need to do. So we all have different strategies that help us to regulate ourselves so we can stay at the kind of the green zone, as we'd call it.
Where the zones of regulations are concerned.
And you're calm, you're ready to work, you're able to do what you need to do. And so we all do little things all day that's helping us to stay within that zone that we need to be to get on with our lives.
And where the kids are concerned now is based on a lot of observation. Things that they like, where regulation is concerned, you have to practically look on them and observe them to say, all right, then this is what I'm going to do, or they can do to regulate themselves. So where activities are concerned, we do like a whole lot of that too.
Right.
Yeah.
If I made it ask, because I think many times we, especially parents, and I'm not saying this otherwise than to parents, others can pay attention, but parents are invested and involved, they're interested sometimes very actively, but not always as sufficiently informed as you would like to be. Teaching and working with children with autism in particular, tell us about it. What is that like? What's that teaching dynamic like? You shared with some already in terms of movement regulation, but help us to appreciate it more.
Teaching, we're communicating with parents
and the student as well, but let's start with the student first, because be a parent with the child delivers to school like any other child, spends the time there, actively engaged, learning and growing and maturing and benefiting. But that day in the classroom, the day in the school day, what is that like? What does that look like? What do you do? How is the child-teacher relation, interaction, engagement?
Every day for me is a fun day. It's a day filled with energy. As Miss Laura said before, My class is the intake class, so they are the small ones, ages 5 to 7.
The little ones, yeah.
Ages 5 to 7, and they are really energetic. So you have to be, enthusiastic as it relates to anything that they are geared towards. Now, on a typical day for me, it starts with routines. So my class, practically every class at Lighthouse School, we have routines and procedures. What is expected entering in the classroom, what is expected. We have a timetable, and yes, we do mathematics, literacy, we do science, social studies, religious education, everything that the regular the other schools they do. But one thing is, it is broken down into simpler tasks for them to understand. So, for example, another school or a primary school would be doing addition, but in the, like for example, an advanced addition, we'll be doing the addition, but it is broken down from concrete to semi-concrete and then to abstract. So everything is broken down. On a regular day, devotion is done. They choose a song that they need. At times, my little ones will be saying, no, I don't want that one, not that one. And we will respect their decision, their decisions they make, because it's choices, and we're living in a world where we need them to become independent and to make the choice. So it starts from in the classroom itself, and being as the secondary parent, as not their primary, but their secondary parent, as their in our care, we have to foster choices and decision making. So devotion is done. After devotion is done in my class, we'll have circle time where they look on the weather, what weather are we having, and then we request a complete sentence. It is a rainy day, it is a sunny day. In that now, we have, as Ms. Laura said, the images, which is called PECS, Picture Exchange Communication System. We have a picture of the sunny day, we have a picture of the rainy day, and we'll ask which one is the picture sunny, which weather are we having, let's choose, and they will choose. Every activity that they carry throughout the day, we always celebrate this. The reason we celebrate this is that many years ago or many months ago or before, when they came in to school or admitted to school, they were unable to do it. And now they have grown. So whatever they accomplish within on that day, we celebrate it. So in my class, you will hear when they get something and everybody's jumping, yeah! And persons will come in saying, what happened? What is wrong? And we're saying, this one accomplished this, and this one accomplished that. So so it's like that on a typical day. Procedures are carried out, routines are carried out. We are timetabled.
And for thank you for that. So that we who maybe not familiar, that sounds very much like any other primary or first year school. You know, that classroom sort of routine, the management, the sense of inclusion, the notion of ownership, participation, and getting the child to take an active role. And that's what we want. So I recognize that, you know, when we come back, we've only got a few more minutes for a discussion, but could you tell us more about the event on Saturday? Repeat it again, so after the break we can talk more about it.
Sure. So it's 7:15. We're inviting people to the Crescent at Commander Bay for our 5K walk run. So we have prizes for the fastest man and woman, and also doing a raffle draw. Anybody can win a prize through the raffle.
All right.
And might I add to, the month of April is celebrated as Autism Awareness Month. So it is celebrated internationally, and that's the reason we're here at this time supporting autism. All right. Well, we're going to get you
invited and engaged and involved, and we'll give you the information so that you can come Saturday morning and participate. Join us after the break.
Here at Savannah Pharmacy, our pharmacists do a lot more than just count out your pills and fill prescriptions. They undergo extensive education in the study of how the human body uses and responds to medicine. They have also built up years of experience in real-life counseling on how to take medication safely. Our pharmacists are on the front lines in keeping our society healthy. Don't risk it or hesitate. Contact us or schedule a consultation with one of our pharmacists today. At Savannah Pharmacy, we care about your health.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from May 5th through 12th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Capella Music Festival is back, Saturday, April 29th at the Festival Green at Camana Bay, featuring a jam-packed lineup of local performers and international stars. UB40, Coffee, Kez the Band, and Leanne Rhymes. Purchase your tickets now at CapellaMusicFestival.com. Brought to you by Camana Bay, Cayman Airways, Remax, Sandbar, Massive Equipment Rental, the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks very much to both Miss Laura and Miss Grace Ann for joining us. And as you know, Miss Grace Ann reminds us, April International is celebrated as Autism Month. And this Saturday,
we're ready and we're gearing up to have a wonderful time at Camana Bay with our 5K run and walk. And ladies and gentlemen, you can purchase your t-shirts at the Lighthouse School. It only costs $25, just $25, and you have a chance to be a part of the raffle. There are prizes. We have a lot of giveaways. And if you're unable to go to the Lighthouse School, you can come to Camana Bay quite early before the event begins, because it begins at 7:15. So you can come at 6:30 or maybe 6:45 to purchase your shirts and to be a part of this wonderful event. Yeah.
And it's not just the financial support, the help, the resources. It's the physical, the personal commitment that we're demonstrating.
Yes.
And I so much appreciate what you've been sharing so far.
Yeah. Last week Friday at school, I saw a parent purchasing 5 shirts, and that parent was not even a part of the Lighthouse School. And I was saying, "Oh, are you going to come to join us with this 5K run?" And she's ready. She said, "Yes, my son is 5 years of age and he's autistic, and I'm going to be a part of this event because it's for him. It's just for his voice to be heard." When she said that to me, I was all touched throughout the day. Yeah, so come and support.
That's what it is, man. Because if it's about education and the children, Miss Laura, it's about bringing together that collective voice so that we feel supported. It's not an issue for an individual to stand independently and champion something, but if someone else has her back, you feel supported, you feel encouraged, you feel that it is possible no matter how uphill the task may seem. And this walk run isn't just about fundraising. This isn't just about autism. It's about a community recognizing that we have to come together, right, Ms. Laura?
Yeah, absolutely. And we do want to raise awareness about autism as well. So it's not just about we need this money for these things, and we want to, and that's why we're always grateful that you have us on our show and give us time to talk a little bit about it, because it's important that people understand what autism is, and to be a part of that, to come along and join us. And we'll have some short videos that we'll be showing there, because we kind of want to show as well people with autism and how they are contributing to the Cayman society already. So we have some videos from the cinema at Camana Bay, where there's a lot of our ex-students go there to work, and the manager there speaks really fondly of the work that they've done there, and that's great to see them being so successful and valued as employers in that setting.
Yeah. And I think too, as we look at what we're doing, Ms. Grace, and the idea that if we can have a sense of empathy because we participate, we can associate, and we can come to a space where we don't see the differences in a negative way. I hope you'll forgive me, but you look at hairstyles. Isn't it beautiful? Sometimes your friends have all sorts of nice hairstyles, whether they put a little color in it, whether they cut it short, and if you sit in there and you're laughing together, just hairstyles. But that in itself can be a celebrated difference. For us who have family who've gone into the military, male or female, they all have the same hairstyle, and you go, I don't know the difference. It's the difference that brings us together.
It is the difference that brings us together. And I mean, that's the reason we have our community. That's the reason we have families. That's the reason we have friends that can support us at all times.
Can I ask, and I think this is probably an endeavor to try to figure out how, as Ms. Laura was sharing, education, information, participation, and celebration can bring us to a space. And this listener is asking, we have the young children, the autistic, the young, the acute. We're probably a little bit more attentive and respectful and resourceful and trying to be understanding and accommodating. But then if the community has this perception of the teen or the adult with autism, what is our sort of interaction to them? What is our perception? How do we view them? Do you see a difference from this listener's question about the community's perspective if the autistic person is an adult or an older teen versus a very young child?
Well, I mean, I work with a completely different class from Miss Gracie. Yeah. So I work with our graduating class, so they are all the older students, and we love to get them out into the community because a lot of what we're doing is about building skills for adulthood. So we go to the supermarket, just basic things like that where they can practice shopping skills. They're also out on work placements. I was at Figaro yesterday with 2 of our young men, and honestly I'd say for the most part the Cayman community does seem very supportive of them. I think one of the things with autism is that it's not always obvious if you don't know about the condition very well. So you might see somebody who's behaving in a way that you think is strange. So they might be running around or making a lot of noise, and so it just can appear unusual if you don't kind of understand what that's about and that there's a reason for it, and it's not a threatening behavior for the most part. They're not behaving by making a lot of noise or running around. They're not trying to be threatening. They're not trying to be unpleasant to anybody. That's just a way that they regulate themselves, like we said. So we talk about self-stimulatory behavior is something that we talk about with autism a lot, which is really just a way to regulate yourself. So often that running around or the jumping or the shouting or whatever it is that's happening is just a way to regulate themselves. And kind of we need people to be accepting of that, to allow, because these are young people who have a lot of skills and they have a lot to offer the community. But I guess if people can't see past that, then that's a barrier for them to get into the workplaces or just to go and do their shopping. It can become a barrier.
I'm wondering, and please, guide me, because sometimes I say this publicly, recognizing, I may be naive. I believe that people are loving and kind and generous and want to do right, and I will continue to believe that. I don't know whether sometimes how we think about things and how we would do, we are disappointed when people don't respond that way. But in saying that, maybe Saturday would be a way for many of us to integrate, to come and to recognize that with true information and being informed, that there's no glaring difference, not unlike a school system that has all children that look like this hair and all children that look like this hair, and all,
there's
instead
no
of all together.
There's no labeling.
Exactly.
Everyone is together.
I do find for the most part when we're going out and about, people are really kind, really supportive. We go to Foster's in Commander Bay a lot, and Like often the staff there will ask, "Oh, do you need help?" They're really kind, and they let our students go up and like buy their own snacks, and they let them practice that skill. And I think that I found that generally out in the community, people are very supportive.
Yeah, they're quite receptive.
Of our students. But it's just sometimes you might see a behaviour that you don't understand. And then that can be frightening, or it can be intimidating. So I guess the more you understand and you realise, okay, that's just that person is regulating themselves or whatever it is that they need to do,
but it's strange,
then you become more comfortable with it.
Even that young child, she's very quiet. Maybe those who know she's exceptionally smart and studious and all those things, but she's quiet. Now that child, male or female, can and should be encouraged and nurtured and instructed and given an example. But just like she may be excluded because she's so quiet and well behaved, whether it's in the classroom or whether it's waiting in line to be served, if we as adults don't teach by example all of our children, then some of us need a little bit of extra help. I mean, I'm glad that when I go into the supermarket that they ask me, "Hey, do you need help?" Like, yeah, I do. Because thank you. Right, Miss Gracie?
Yeah. Moved everything around again.
Yeah. Really? What are you guys trying to do here? But that's where the community needs to learn to love one another, right?
To love each other, and as coming back to the same acceptance, coming back to, not labeling, just accepting each other for who they are. Yeah.
Integration,
inclusion, yes.
Bringing us together. I tell people a potluck or a buffet, whatever you want to call it, that's one of the most beautiful things that you can, because somebody's brought something and everybody's enjoying, the fare from the table, and that's sharing, that's learning,
And as I've said before, lessons learned. You can learn so much things from an individual who is autistic. You can learn about how the environment that they're a part of. You can learn how, to work with other individuals. In learning these, in obtaining information from them, at the end of the day, this information can be transferred to other persons within the environment, so they know how to be equipped in catering for this child disability. Yeah.
When we know something, until we're taught, we'll never know and taught correctly. So, Miss Laura, I'm praying for two things. It'll be a resounding success on Saturday, but you'll come back again.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have more conversation about this idea of information, inclusion, acceptance, tolerance, knowledge, information sharing, and bringing the people to a space of love and kindness. And closing quickly, you want to tell us, how we can be a part of it? If you want to remind us again, Mom.
Well, we just hope to see you there Saturday. You're gonna have to get up early, but that's fine. I know we all like to get up early. It'll make the day longer and more fulfilling. So join us at Commander Bay at 7:15. You can buy a t-shirt while you're there, or you can just join us, have a refreshment. We're gonna have fruit juice and face painting. So it's at the Crescent at Commander Bay. And there's more information on our Facebook page as well, so you can have a look on there, or you can contact us through there if you've got any more questions.
All right. Well, not just beautiful t-shirts, but our excellent cause.
And a big thank you to all our sponsors and all those who have donated. Also to the ASD committee at the Lighthouse School, and also to our SLT. Right.
Thank you all very much. And again, commend you for having that loving, winning, just nurturing spirit. So thanks.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. We'll remind you more about it as we go on to the program, but stay tuned. When we come back, there'll be some open lines. Stay tuned.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Theolyn McCoy Primary School will be hosting its annual Mental Health Day on May 4th, 2023, under the theme Mind Your Health, Self-Care Begins With Me. The public can get involved in the school's fundraiser for Mental Health Day by purchasing a shirt via eventpro.ky. In international news, Jerry Springer, best known for hosting his raucous TV talk shows, has died aged 79. The controversial presenter died at his home outside Chicago on Thursday after a brief illness, according to family. The Jerry Springer Show ran for 27 years and was known for its wild crowd and fights between guests. The alleged boss of one of Italy's biggest mafia syndicates has been arrested by police at a cathedral in the northern city of Genoa. Pasquale Bonavotta has been wanted by police since 2018 after fleeing an arrest warrant for murder and mafia association. The group is Italy's most powerful mafia family and is said to control the bulk of Europe's cocaine supplies. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the 5th child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott enjoyed a fulfilling career at sea, spanning more than 50 years. He was ahead of his time, employing his mathematical and computer skills to create payroll software, depth charts of Georgetown Harbor, and his pride and joy was his weather program that could detect when a storm formed anywhere in the world and was able to track and forecast its path. He had 6 children and was married for 52 years to Bernadette Silva, whom he met during his tenure in Brazil. In 1954, when Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II visited, Captain Scott had the distinct honor shaking the Queen's hand and piloting the Royal Yacht Britannia and anchored it in the Georgetown Harbor. Captain Scott was a humble man who liked his khaki suit and cap and loved to share his knowledge with those who crossed his path. He was honored at the National Heroes Day, acknowledging the seafaring heritage of these islands.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Welcome. Thank you so much. And just to ensure that you can hear me, it's not a test, just to ensure that it's all working clearly, and just to ensure, now I've not got poetic, I want you to participate in what we're saying. Try your WhatsApp number. If it rings, I'll tell Susan will answer it, she'll go get the memo, and then in short order, you'll get online. I mean, come on, it's the government bureaucracy, the efficiency of the red tape. 925-3261, 925-3261 is our WhatsApp line. You can give us a call on the Flow toll-free number if you wish. All these numbers are the numbers that you use when you call any of our talk shows, and we certainly want you to make sure that you join Mr. Art in the morning for the record and use the numbers then as well. So 1-800-534-TALK, 1-800-534-8255. And are the phone lines ringing in light up, Miss Susan? Let's see what happens. So we got a WhatsApp call coming in. We also got another line ringing. But unlike many people who can, we can only answer one at a time. So we're going to answer this one. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hi, good afternoon.
You can hear me?
I can. Can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me now?
Because usually you get a feedback when you answer the phone. You get this sort of like a background echo, so you know you're on.
I thought you meant a feedback and me listening and responding.
WhatsApp phone is working live and direct on the bluff.
Yeah, oh, perfect. Then perfect. And we have another one coming in as well. So tell me about your day. What's happening up there?
Well, I just wanted to raise something that a very concerned citizen up here in Nebraska came to my house and sat with me and discussed with me. And I'm not calling any names.
Fair enough.
I will mention maybe departments, but I will not call any names. Their concern is that landscaping businesses here in Nebraska are sending out their workers. They should be landscaping or gardening private residences. And what they're doing is they're going into the highland and cutting down the bush. And they don't need to get a permit to do that, to excavate the bush if they're doing it by hand. But if you call like a company, when the company's up here and ask them to go and, excavate the land for you because you're preparing it to start to build, then they have to go get a permit, which they have no problem with. But what is being promoted up here is that people are being told by a particular government department, don't hire the excavating guys that do that up here, that clear land for you using the bobcat and, excavator, whatever. Get people from the landscaping businesses to go in and hand chop the bush down. Now, what they're doing is, because those individuals are not from here, they are cutting down a lot of indigenous trees, including what is it, that particular agave. Some of those are being, cut down, and they're destroying the maypoles, and they're destroying other indigenous trees to the Black Bluff, and they're not bothering to, whereas the excavator guy and the bobcat guys up here are our own people. They know what's indigenous to the Brack on the Bluff, and they try to save some of those trees, unless the homeowner even said, the landowner says, oh no, I don't need it. That's a different story. But some landowners are saying, my God, they flattened everything. They cut everything down. They chopped it all down with their electric saws and just left it in piles and stuff on the property, which even makes it more difficult when an excavator has to go in after. So I want that addressed, because if you have a license to trade as a garden service in Nebraska, you should not be able to send your workers to hand to excavate the property, cut down the trees, and they're just chopping everything down. They're not even looking at saying, some of these trees are indigenous and they should not be, old and they're big and they've been there a while, and you shouldn't have to take them all out, if you know what I mean.
Right. Well,
so that's my slight rant today that I want to address.
Thank you.
And I think it needs to be addressed. And some of the individuals who are doing it as side jobs without a permit that allows them to do it, and they don't even have a license to do it. And we need to address that in Nebraska up here.
Enforcement. Well, thank you for identifying that. Maybe it won't go unheeded. Hey, thanks very much. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's take the other caller and then the one after that. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Honest to God, I am so thankful. I don't say this other than to truly publicly say that I am, but encourage. Healthy. I'm surrounded by good people who tell me what I need to hear, and sometimes even the things that I want to hear, but most of what I need to hear.
Yes.
How are you?
That's good. I'm fine, thankful too, and we're like home.
Yep.
I don't care what nobody says. We're like home.
Home is where the heart is.
Yes, when God gave us the honey, the honey and the milk, I don't think that He meant for it to be distributed so far and got it so thin now that there's nothing left for us to get hardly. I know it's His world and people is moving up and down, but we're so small. I know He didn't expect us to drink up all that milk and honey already, but.
Wow.
It is what it is.
It's not just the idea of gluttony, but it's about being resourceful and respectful, that we ensure that we have, as they say, safer. Yep.
For a rainy day. Yeah. So, what I call you in regards to, we have our parks spread up to the island, right? And the kids go to the park after school, weekend, holidays, whatever the case may be. And guess what? Every one of them has Wi-Fi in the park for their children. Now, Sterling, these kids are in the park. They're having a good time to a degree, and they got their Wi-Fi. But at the end of the day, all the garbage are on the ground. There's a couple bins, especially in Windsor Park. I've been out twice around there, where cars are parking in on the park. I thought I was for pedestrian and moving up and down and you know, playing balls or just sitting relaxing, whatever the case may be. But to see that they're giving all these parks just about internet for the kids to come there and enjoy the internet. And when they get through snacking, whatever, the garbage is not in the bin. It's on the ground. And I think that whoever's promoting all this internet on these parks, are they going by at any point in time to see what condition the parks are in? You know, if you're going to give children something like that, they have to have that's incentive for them to go to the park, but not to throw the garbage on the ground. They need to help keep their surroundings clean. And this is not what someone told me when I'm crossing properly every time that I'm on the road in various locations, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a shame to know that the kids are just, you know, throwing a litter on the ground at the parks, and no one is going there, you know, saying, but, you know, guys, the park is here for the youth. The MPs, I guess, who's in the areas that run the parks and the constituent area and all that kind of baloney, you know what I mean?
And as I listen to you too, some people have asked, you know, if you have Wi-Fi or internet access in public places, is it regulated? Is it from this time to this time? And that question recently was asked of us in light of some of the public parks close at a certain time, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, maybe even earlier. If, as the person was sharing, if the parks are not available to go and enjoy the park, exercise or outdoors because of lack of lighting or equipment or safety or whatever, why is it then that if, for instance, the Wi-Fi is 24/7 or available up until, you know, late hours of the night? I honestly don't know how long or if it's ever disconnected or the like, but to your point, that may add to the misuse and overuse and abuse of the parks.
Exactly, and I'm not sure if it has a time that it cuts off.
I don't either, yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, these are practically students from school, and my goodness, they should be home by early at 6 o'clock if they're not being monitored, and they can go home in an hour they want to go home. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't think that means we'll have the correct answer for that right now. Hopefully, someone will call and chime in on it. Yeah. And I also want to say that this morning I'm down on Smith Road picking up the children. Sterling, there was the kids boarding the bus, and there was one kid left down to come up to the bus. And Sterling's lady was walking on the same side where the child was walking to step up onto the bus. Sterling, the only thing that lady didn't do was knock her down.
Wow.
And she was walking. The only thing she didn't do was knock her down. I even tried to get her attention. I don't know if she had her ears plugged up or what, but she just kept on going with her business. Mm-hmm. But if anything had happened, we would have got off the bus and nipped it in the bud right then and there. But like I said, the only thing she didn't do was knock the kid down. She didn't acknowledge her. She never said sorry. She didn't acknowledge the bus. I mean, absolutely nothing. So there's a kind of people, even if it's my people, that we have to live with on this island, and it's ridiculous. And to say that, Sterling, I want to say this, and I'll let you go. I was talking to someone, I think it was yesterday, and work permits and residents and citizens of this island, and the way that they're doing their own thing on this island, not following no rules and regulation, and want to bring their own country. I mean, when I went to America to live, I never catch a man with me. I never come back home to this one day dead or alive. But I never went to America and tried to change that one day to suit me. You know what I mean? Never one day. So I don't understand why people travel and want to go to another man's country and want to change it into their country. Why you left home for? You know? And I was saying to somebody, you know something? These permits that we're giving out, these status and residents and so forth, they need to put a leaflet on those things and let those individuals sign that paper with all, at least the majority of all rules and regulations for this island that you have to abide by while you're living here in Cayman. Something need to be done, Sterling, and putting a pamphlet on their permit fees or whatever they may get from Cayman, put it there and let them sign it. I don't know if it will help, but it will probably trap. They might say, boy, you know, I can't litter here, and I can't this, and I can't that, and yakety yak. Something needs to be drilled into their head. And then they come to pick up their permit, they sign that paper. Even without reading it. And I guess you can't sign without reading, right? I don't sign without reading, which would be kind of a bit cold and, so forth. But we need to do something, Sterling. We need to put something on these permit papers when these guys are picking up their work permits. And I think they need to have proper IDs to walk with. And our police and our immigration needs to get out here more and walk the walk. And we need to stop the talk, because in talking sometimes doesn't help. We need action in this island. I know when OC and Menamo was in immigration, people used to live on Eastern Avenue, bringing people in almost 24/7. I know my little friend Jean in Menamo, they clean up this island. Now everybody's doing their own thing, and you don't dare say anything to them. They look at you like, who are you? They let the door off in your face. They curse you, they this, they that. They threaten you. And when you open your mouth, then they want to pop off the big one afterwards back to you as a woman or a man or whoever it is, or a child. But anyhow, Sterling, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, too, for sharing. And as you were speaking, I was looking at a message I'll read in a minute after I read this next one. But thanks very much, okay?
Okay.
Have a good afternoon. It is open line, and the caller shared, and perhaps it resonates with you. Perhaps it makes you reflect on where we are. Perhaps it encourages you to feel empowered and do that thing that brings us to a better space. Let's go to this next caller. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, young man.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Oh, I'm a good friend of mine. I'm fine as 6-foot flower, and I'm fine as blow right.
Indeed, man.
I was driving, I'm still driving from West Bay to Georgetown, and I overheard the caller from Cayman Brack.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm calling to support that call because, I'm from the Brack and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I get back there pretty often. And so many people have complained to me about the same thing, so it's time government got involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people who actually do it, they don't have a permit to do it because they have their jobs and then they do this on the day off and all that kind of thing. Of course, it works both ways. The people who actually hire them, they should know better than that too.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's it.
It's a problem up there because they're taking away the legitimate work from people with bulldozers and the eights and all that kind of thing that does the clearing.
What do we do about it, though? I mean, because sometimes it seems that as an individual, maybe even as a society, we're willing to turn a blind eye or downplay something or say, well, it's not a bigger problem now. And, one mama say 2 licks and a promise, and next thing there's a full-blown, epidemic is a big problem. So is that the challenge that we are looking and ignoring? We're not willing to accept, acknowledge, to address.
It goes even a little further than that because
okay. Yes, sir.
What it costs for a bulldozer and all that, because they have to get permits from the government to do that.
Uh-huh.
What it costs a landowner that wants to build a house, what it costs him to clear it by bulldozer is much less than what he would pay these expat workers who just do it as a side too. So government has to do something because not only are they taking away the jobs of the legitimate people who do that or used to do it for a living.
Mm-hmm.
But they're breaking their own terms of employment by getting the permit. I mean, you get a permit for a guy, he's a mechanic, and when he's got his day off, him and his friend go and cut down a piece of land for somebody, and it's much less than normal.
Mm-hmm.
So government has to look into it, even if they have to do something with reduction of the permits and all that kind of thing. I don't know the answer, but people have complained to me every time I go to the BRAC,
Mm-hmm.
that I can't get no work because of what's happening. And that lady, I think I know who it was, she put she hit the nail on the head, because that is exactly what is happening in Cayman Brac. And it's a little concerning because
mm-hmm.
I hope to build a house in the BRAC one of these days, but I'm from the old school, I was building for 7 years, so I know a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get first of all, the people who chop the bush down, they just leave it there, and you got burn it and all that. Whereas if you get a bulldozer with a truck and all that, it's pulled away. So there are pros and cons to the whole deal of it, but you just got to be fair,
Well, that's the thing. The fairness of much these days seem to be dictated by your ability to either pay or somehow other way influence, or whether it's through money or might. And I'm wondering if that's what's happening, that we are losing our way, and the kindness, the consideration, the compassion, the concern. Sadly, the things that I'm hearing people talk of soft skills, the pleases and the thank yous, they were, in my mind, one time not long ago, essential. A please and a thank you open more doors than maybe a gun. But for some stupid reason now, we got morons in position of authority where, the masses are willing to kowtow. And then if anybody says anything, they castigate and chastise instead of saying, what Johnny just said is right. But no, we can't do that because that'll offend,
Well, you see, the thing about it too is that we have lost. Let me tell you something. I'm sure you see. When I was growing up,
mm-hmm.
before I went to Jamaica to live,
yes, sir.
My parents, or my mother, especially my dad, whenever he came home, she relinquished all of her hold on us. And left it to daddy.
Wait till your dad come home,
But why? Yeah, but all he had to do was raise his finger. But
yep.
Mama would see anything she found. If you didn't hear, you sure as hell would see you. But anyway,
mm-hmm.
the point I was trying to make is that it's good that children are expressing themselves and all that.
Mm-hmm.
When my mother used to carry me and my brothers out, because my sister was always. She's the oldest one. She's 6, 7 years old and something like that. And
mm-hmm.
she was always in board school. But you kept quiet. You speak when you're spoken to and that kind of thing. There's so many traditions and my mother's best friend, which was 2 or 3 doors down, if she saw me doing something, she'd beat me. And if I went home and told Mama beat me again. So all of that we have lost all of that.
But I think too we have somehow, in remembering that and speaking to it now, it has somehow got mistranslated, misinterpreted, and misapplied, because nobody's talking about abuse and the chastising, the discipline, the guidance, the instruction, and the like. Now there are some of us for whom the household, the parents never had to even raise a finger. They would give you the information, they would look at you, and you understood what was expected. Very much like sometimes some of the teachers that we had in schools, where the teacher could look at you, and that was all that was needed to correct your behavior. Now, sadly,
exactly.
Yeah.
There's no fear in these children nowadays.
Yeah.
But another point that I think one of your callers made was that most of the people, or 90% of the foreigners who come here, they bring their culture with them, and I expect that to be carried forward here.
Right.
But that's so incorrect. I mean, we're the islands of time for God, and we're not used to that kind of thing.
Right.
But they do all of that.
Mr. Denniston, if you would, and I leave it to you, and with the greatest of love and respect, and I ask of you and through you, yesterday we had a couple of callers, but one in particular, a mother, she shared with a very impassioned plea, and as I listened to it again, and as I try to make my way through the rest of the day, the amount of people in person and by phone who spoke highly of what the lady shared relative to education and behaviors at one of our government schools, the Clifton Hunt in particular. Others said, well, it's the same behavior in many schools, government and private. And she talked about the dominant culture. She said, and you could hear the love, you could hear in her heart the genuine concern for the country, not just for Caymanians, but for the country. And she said, she was born in Jamaica, she grew up in Jamaica, she was schooled in Jamaica. But if we don't have fairness and compassion and love, if we don't have a sense that we reward merit, if we are allowing things to transpire here that could continue to marginalize and displace, leading to not just Caymanians being rejected and discarded, you're going to end up with a society that doesn't reflect your norms and the ethos of your ancestors, but one that is growing and divided. So in sharing that, Mr. Denniston, what do we do with your last comment, given that people come here, they impose their will and their way and they demand their want? What do we do as a society?
Sorry, I address it right. Whenever it happens in front of me, I address it right away.
Yes, sir.
And Caymanians need to be more outspoken because, I remember some weeks ago I was at the gas station. And while they might have had two cashiers, only one was working. And this guy comes in, 7 people, and I was about the 5th in line, and he jumps in front, give me $10 gas. And I promptly said, young man, get behind. Well, I didn't say that kindly. Get behind, and
yeah.
I tried to. I had the same thing happen at Truck Supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
This Spanish lady jumps in front of me because I was looking at something else. I said, "Where did you come from, man?" Oh, I never saw you. I said, "Big as I am, you never saw me." I said, "Get to the back of the line." Yeah. So it has to be addressed, and you can address it. No problem. Sometimes when I do it, I do it too outspokenly. But having lived in other countries,
mm-hmm.
I never took Caymanian culture to their way of living.
Yeah.
I abide by the rules of whichever country I'm staying in.
But let me ask of you, right? To your example, then, I've heard many people who have shared something similar. And unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because how they related to me, when they responded to the incident the way you have, whether as nicely as you did or not so, the people with them, their spouses, their children, their siblings, their co-workers, their people in their circle were offended and embarrassed publicly, right? But when they got in the car, when they got home or back to the office, boy, I'm so glad you got the courage to say that. Now, listen. If somebody jump in front of you and they're being rude, you can either sit down and roll over and play dead, or you can tell them where to go, If we don't speak up and stand up, what will happen?
That's what I'm saying. I try to address it when it happens.
Yes, sir.
But I'm only once amongst 3,000 Caymanians.
Yeah. Well,
they tell me that it's only at funerals or at church that you see so many Caymanians in one place. But
yeah.
And we might make a joke of it, but it's true.
It is, sir. It is, sir. Well, Mr. Denniston, Scripture says, "And too much is given, much is required." And if we don't start to do the right thing now, as a country for the country, what unfolds will be your fault.
And then you see, a lot of parents in this country,
mm-hmm.
they tell their children the incorrect thing. I remember most people know that I did construction for 46 years. But a young man came to me one day and said, if I could give him a job.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I only need helpers now. I'm paying $10 an hour. Oh, if you can't pay me $15 an hour because my mama tell me that I'm a man and not supposed to work. I said, you go ahead and try that on other employers and see if it works, my friend. So people are actually telling their children, oh, you're a man, you ain't supposed to get to work. Well, hear what? Guess what? It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, thankfully I'm not hearing that. I've never heard that. But if that is happening, and worse if it's happening in a wider community and in schools, it's creating a very, very serious problem. Mr. Denson, thank you, sir, for that. All right.
Thank you so much for listening to my complaints. And
thank you for sharing your comments.
I look forward to coming on your show.
Yes, sir.
One of these days, pretty
Yes,
soon.
sir. Hopefully. All right. We'll pause and take a break and let that call inspire you. You can, take the topics to task and you decide that you want to traverse a different path, or you can say, you know what, let's agree. A couple of things I want to share with you, though. So join us after the break.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
CUC reminds you that you can do your bill and schedule automatic bill payments. Go to www.cuc-cayman.com and click on the Power Pay tab and sign up today. It's as easy as flicking a switch.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At Valley Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit Valley Med Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with Valley Med Pharmacy.
Heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and respiratory illnesses are among the top causes of death in Cayman every year. From June 3rd until July 31st, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will conduct the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey to better understand the prevalence of non-communicable diseases within our nation. Log on to www.gov.ky/steps to learn more.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us. It's an open line, It's a Thursday. Let's think deeply and lovingly. Let's think deliberately. And let's share publicly. And let's see if whatever is said somehow resonates within us, causes us to agree or to rethink our position or to be cemented in our views and say, you know what, I don't agree with that or I agree with it. But in any event, I'm going to share publicly because what you say may just be that thing that causes another to be inspired. And I know, in my own thinking of wanting to see, right over might, to see a sense of love and kindness and unity, at times may cause people, because they become so jaded, we become so apathetic, or we become so expectant that if somebody says or does something nice, that there's an ulterior motive. They want something. And oftentimes, it's unfortunately, that's what it is and why they do and say, what they have done and said. But it doesn't have to be that way. And it isn't, in itself, inherently wrong to do something, wanting something. But maybe sometimes we could do with a little bit more of, love and purpose and a desire to do the right, because right can be done. But I say that to say it this way. Just because somebody speaks out, stands up and decides that, how will people say, I take no foolishness, that doesn't mean that they are unkind. But it doesn't mean that when, they're quiet, that they're not necessarily willing to speak either. So you call them as you find them, my mom always tells me. Let me read this message from one of our listeners. All right? We know that the Legislative Assembly was in session yesterday. The government prepared and presented its strategic policy statement. Some was probably had a hand in drafting it. Some was probably saw a preliminary, edits. Some was probably just waiting to get it to be able to go through it. Different strokes for different folks. This listener writes, and I will endeavor to read it verbatim, if that's okay. Says Sterling, was Premier talking into a mirror when he wrote the strategic policy statement this week? The big section in quality of life is a joke. It made me really mad. Whose quality of life? Locals are falling apart to stress, underemployment, underinsurance, and underpay. Also, his talk about education. Most kids are shamefully leaving primary school illiterate and enumerate. This continues through secondary education and life. Can we please tackle real issues and not downtown tourism vanity projects? Now, sometimes the emotion wells within us. Sometimes the things that are so important to us cause us to share. And I thank that listener for two things. Being cognizant of the strategic policy statement and consider, the response, and then sending something to us to read. Now, you may agree completely with what the listener shared. You may say, nope, that listener is completely off, misinterpreted, misinformed, misguided. But at the end of the day, if we don't have a sense that one can say something and another can agree to disagree, and then through that dialogue, you come with a healthy discussion that leads to some positive decisions, then you won't really have a democracy. And if in that democracy, if people are willing to engage, become informed, and then decide, they're going to take some positive action. It may be becoming a registered voter once eligible. It may mean, and I say this, and hopefully is taken as a political, sort of call to action in terms of the populace getting engaged and involved, becoming a registered voter, maybe deciding to offer him or herself as a possible candidate because the individual feels, I could probably do just as good or better. I could bring something to the table. Nothing venture, nothing gain. You may or may not be. Or you might decide, let me get involved with somebody else's political ticket or a particular grouping or the like, and stop pointing fingers and complaining and castigating and saying, well, special interests, or, well, if people are organized and they're willing to look out for their interests, whether it's a professional association, whether it's a particular group of people, whether through some association that is related to their industry or the like, or whether it's just a small segment who say, it'll be beneficial if we can speak with a common voice. Well, maybe the voters need to do the same, and not necessarily at a general election by coming out and voting. That's important, absolutely crucial. Now, if our voter turnout is less in one election than it was in the one prior, and then the next is even less, it doesn't matter that it's relatively higher than other jurisdictions. If it's less than normal, is that voter apathy? Is that the access to the polls being restricted in some way? It doesn't have to be physically restraint. It could be as alleged in some places. The people are being told, hey, don't bother go to vote. Here's $100. Here's $100,000. Or it could be that the individuals will say, it doesn't make any sense. They're all the same and, they won't do anything different. Well, they won't. But are you? All right. We'll take your calls in a second once Ms. Susan gets, everything put together. But the phone lines are there. Of course, the WhatsApp number still works. And we've managed to take a number of calls on that. So we're always grateful to be able to deploy, increase access for our listeners to be able to share their thoughts. It's been a distinct honor and privilege to sit and facilitate for these many years. I honestly will say to you that it's never ever my intent nor endeavor to be in the media. I would say, if I asked to describe myself, I'm a very quiet, unassuming guy who does not enjoy publicity, but by the same token, have no reservation about standing up and speaking up and trying to offer up constructively in a helpful way. But for many of us, we like the sounds of our voices. We like the look of our faces in public spaces. But there are many who are like I say, I think I am, very quiet. Rather, not necessarily be a wallflower, but rather just be in the room and just observe and participate, not necessarily have to orchestrate, all of the maneuverings. But different strokes to different folks, and it takes all kinds to make the world go round, as we say. But it will go around and pass us by unless we are actively engaged and embrace it. And in our own personal lives, that thing that is so obvious and evident before us, that out of fear or misplaced sense of obligation and commitment, societal expectations, otherwise, we may not, pursue. Well, that may or may not be what's best for us. It may not be the right timing. But if you do nothing, nothing will probably happen. And if you wait for others, well, it may not happen in the way that you think it should, may not in the way that is best, or not in the way that is the timing and when. So we can't point fingers if we are unwilling to offer up ourselves. We're expecting, in short order, to be able, as a community, to weigh into things through a general election. We'll see initiatives unfold relative to our constitution and our electoral boundaries. We'll see things transpiring through the scholarships and education of our young people. And before we know it, it'll be 20 years from now, and we've asked ourselves, has it gotten better or worse? And if it's gotten worse, well, what are we doing to improve it? What have we done to try to, mitigate those negative things? And I say that to share that yesterday, as I was saying to Mr. Denniston, of course, the phone lines are there. So 949-6990, 949-8037, or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. We'll take this quick break. When we come back, call, and I certainly want to maybe try to share some of the comments that we received after that call yesterday.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Cayman, you ready? Cayman Carnival Batabano presents the Friday Night Fete. Teddy Blue, featuring soca sensation Skinny Fabulous. Along with DJ Eternal Vibe, MC Giselle, the Wassy One, Execution Sound, and more. Get ready to jump like you never jump, wave like you never wave, and whine like you never whine. Friday, May 5th, starting at 8 p.m. Seafarers Way, downtown Georgetown. Get your tickets now for the Friday Night Fete from Le Classique in the Strand. Save big with 2-for-1 tickets on sale for $40 until April 30th. Celebrate with us at Teddy Blue. Friday, May 5th, 8 p.m. Seafarers Way, downtown Georgetown. Tickets for Teddy Blue are available from the Classique Anniversary Special. 2-for-1 tickets for $40 until April 30th. Sponsored by Ministry of Tourism, Department of Tourism, Cayman Airways, J&. Money, Radio Cayman, Caymanian Times, Event Pro, and Pepsi.
Vaccines are as important to your overall health as diet and exercise, like eating healthy foods, exercising, and getting regular checkups. Vaccines play a vital role in keeping you healthy. Vaccines are one of the safest preventative care measures available. Get up to date with vaccinations you or your children may have missed. Call the Public Health Department today on 244-2648 to schedule your appointment. This message is brought to you by the Public Health Department in conjunction with the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The application deadline for Education Council Local Scholarships for the 2023-2024 academic year is Sunday, 30th of April, 2023. To apply for an Education Council local scholarship, please visit the Ministry of Education's Scholarship Application Portal at moescholarships.gov.ky or email the Scholarship Secretariat Unit at scholarships@gov.ky to learn more. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Education's Scholarship Secretariat Unit.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for sharing. And to that caller that's trying to call, we're not quite sure why we're not hearing, so keep trying again. 949-8037. Or you try the WhatsApp, 925-3261. Hey, it worked a couple of times earlier. As you use it sometimes, it improves, like anything else, you got to build it. 949-8037. 949-6990. Or toll free with the compliments of Flow, 1-800-534-8255. And we share, as you share with us. We learn as you impart your wisdom and knowledge. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Mr. D.
Hey, my friend. How are you, man?
My hot, why?
It's hot, eh? Why? Trust me, tomorrow it might even be more so.
It's hotter. It's hotter even more with the concrete buildings.
Yeah, boy. I tell you, man.
But so the last caller there, when he was talking about the youth asking $15, you're big up to that youth. Because you know what? That make you know, say, if you will sell for them, sell out for those little bit of dollars, you will sell out for nothing. You understand? Make him go work, try to get $15 an hour. Make him start a new start. What's wrong with that?
I guess you gotta know your worth, right?
Stuck in his back. His back thing is, oh well, if I went through it, you must go through it too. That's how it sounds.
That's not like the mentality, we it's one thing to make life too easy for people that they don't value or appreciate what they have, but it's also unfortunate that some of us will drive a road, know that the road is unsafe and has caused damage to the person in the car, but yet we'll let other people, go down the road the same way.
That's right. And then got the nerve to complain about people cutting in the line. Well, if you don't want people cutting in the line, you probably pay that $15 an hour and probably get more. Get more Caymanians to work for you. It probably give you a space in the line. You know what I mean? But no. We always gotta be thinking this this divided type of thinking. Say if we was all putting together into one one idea, we would probably have been further by,
Yeah. But it's easier to be put in a basket. It's easier for people to assign a label to you, and it's certainly easier when you're divided. Take, for instance, right, and this is just an example. Hopefully it helps illustrate what I think I'm hearing you say. The political system, let's say you have two parties, and two parties only, Party A and Party B. And you got a leader of one party and a leader of the other party. And let's say the parties are fairly equally numbered and the like. Now, if you only got to, as a negotiator, deal with the two leaders as opposed to the entire membership, it's probably easier and more convenient and political expedient for you, the three you get together and hash it out, right? Now, some would say, well, the party leaders will come to the conference and the negotiation having been informed by its membership. But we know that's BS, right? Because, the executive, the small grouping or whatever could decide, and then everybody has put a rubber stamp. And then when there's any sort of, disquiet amongst the membership as to what we should be doing, there always this notion, and the parties have their whips, as they call them officially, to get the membership in line, especially the elected membership. So the semblance of a democracy sometimes is not even a facade. How do we then get the wider public to speak out and stand up and say, this is not how it goes? So,
well, is what happens is you got to bring it to the front door.
Okay, how do we do that?
They be avoiding it. Yeah, they be avoiding it, and I can tell you, they right now looking down on the phone, avoiding everything that's going on.
But it's not what we are as a society. I mean, look at it in the table. Yeah.
Sorry, that's what they want us to be.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the part and what you're saying in between the two parties is they don't explain to you that you also have another choice not to vote for any of the two parties.
Okay.
They don't tell you that. And then when you figure that out, they say, well, that's not really good for the democracy if you don't vote. But
right.
I'm not going to vote for bird or bull poop.
Mm-hmm. So
bull poop.
Yeah. Let me ask, right? Let me ask. We look at some countries, some jurisdictions, some societies that have a very, very defined understanding about its behavior relative to certain things. Maybe it's littering. You don't chew gum in certain spaces, or you don't smoke, or you don't curse, or if you're on the train getting from point A to point B, you don't jump the turnstiles and run through as the doors are closing and pretend that you got your ticket. And it doesn't need for policing efforts to enforce that. The society itself says these are not things that we embrace, we don't certainly accept. And in fact, we're going to find a way to ensure that that's shared sensibly and civilly with you. All right? I would think that the Cayman society not long ago was like that, but have we lost that? Look at the littering in our streets. Look at the behaviors on our roads. Look at the conduct of our citizens in many spaces. I've got the question: have we lost our way?
About it, you wouldn't wait for the person that dropped the water bottles to come back and tell him to pick up the water bottles back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
You would have picked the water bottle up and put it in the garbage yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's what happened nowadays, is that they want to pay somebody to find the person that dropped the water bottle and then give him a ticket, and then pay somebody else to pick up the water bottle.
Mm-hmm.
For the two of these people that are probably making more than the rest of the country.
Yeah. Let me ask through you, right?
I've been joking.
Yeah. I understand from my elders that we are a people of great resolve and resilience, and we're innovative, industrious, and the like. We also, and I say this based on the lady that called yesterday when she was referring to Caymanian children as being well-behaved, well-mannered. But when you push them and you insult them, you embarrass them, you confront them, they hold their space, they speak out. And I liken that to most of us as adults. I think to people in my age group, we will take a lot. And then when your back's to the wall, as most people, a corner dog will probably snarl and bite and whatever, right? It's not because we're easy to push over entirely. It's just that we are amenable, accommodating, hospitable, and want to find a civil solution. I think that even me, as loving and kind as I think I am, I think if you push me too hard, I'll probably show you that my dad showed me how to give a left hook and a right uppercut. But it's not a behavior that we want to do, right? So in saying that, I'm asking us collectively as a people, why can't we see the sense, let's put it that way, in ensuring that the things that make a society stable, that make a society safe, are the things that we all have to do. Example, we're on the roads, we're late, or we're inconsiderate, or we just don't care, or we're just selfish and self-absorbed, and we're gonna only see, as we look down on the floor, one lever, the gas. There's no brake, and we're gonna zip in and out. We're gonna get where we're gonna go. We don't matter what car we're driving. We don't matter what job we have. We don't matter who we are. Once we get there, doesn't matter if other people get there safely or not, right? And yet the wider society say, yeah, boy, that's them, boy, yeah, that's how it goes, price of progress. As opposed to finding a way to properly deal with that. And then today it's one person, and tomorrow it's 10, and then the next, before you know, it's 10,000.
Well, what you just described here is the true purpose of the meaning of divide and rule.
Yep.
Is to have everybody thinking about themselves rather than the other person. Now, if you was to get rid of that, you could move further. If you could say, okay, you know what? If I go and work today, I gonna carry 5 people down today with me. You could probably start a revolution just on that one little thought that you had in the morning.
Yeah.
But that thought that's gone away, because by the time you wake up, you got to put on your tie, you got to brush your teeth, you got to hurry up, you got to jump the traffic.
Yeah.
If you see anybody, even if you see your friend that you know from long time ago hitching a ride, you got to later because you're thinking all about yourself. And that's the main thing in this divide and conquer, divide and rule type of mentality. It seems like it's not there, but it is there. But this Caymanian way, you can't ask any one of these newborn Caymanians, come fetch me a bunch of coconuts or some mangoes. They gotta be afraid. And they don't know how. That's so sad. That's so sad. And the main part that kills me, Mr. Dwayne, is that we're on an island. And the most expensive thing to eat is seafood. That's the main thing. That just bugs me to pieces. No wonder why you have illiterate children coming up, because they're so hungry. That's the main part, I guess.
And increasingly, we're understanding that not only is it expensive, but becoming for the law abiding, and particularly for the Caymanian, to access. Allegedly, there are many from the dive personnel who working in the diving sector to others. They'll go out knowingly, whether from the shores or from the boat, and take out of season or from the marine parks. Allegedly, seems to be accepted practice. My friend, we do have the news break though, and then another caller. But thank you for sharing. All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Join us after the break. Stay tuned.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. RCIPS are aware of an attempt to defraud previous victims of a number of Ponzi schemes. RCIPS can confirm that FFF Global is falsely claiming there are funds to assist victims of Ponzi schemes held in a bank in the Cayman Islands. Police advise anyone who has registered with FFF Global to have no further contact with them. In international news, a U.S. airman suspected of leaking dozens of classified files had a history of making violent threats and researched mass shootings. Jack Teixeira wrote on social media that he wanted to kill a ton of people as a way of culling the weak-minded, according to a court filing. The 18-page document also claimed the 21-year-old kept a bazooka and other weapons close to his bed. On Thursday, prosecutors will argue he should remain in jail until his trial. His legal team have not commented on the case, but are expected to argue he should not be detained. A police chief in the occupied Ukrainian city of Melitopol, who defected to Russia after they seized the city, has been killed in an apparent partisan bombing. Alexander Mishenko died when an improvised device exploded at the entrance to the block where he lived. There have been recently reports of heightened Ukrainian partisan activity in the region. Melitopol's exiled mayor said the dead officer was a traitor. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
Cayman Queens. Your nails say everything about you without saying a word. The Nail Palace, upstairs Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Turning manicures, acrylics, pedicures into an art. Nails are not about being noticed. They're about being remembered. Book your appointment today, 526-1217, or visit them on Instagram, Nail Palace 345. The Nail Palace, upstairs Tropical Plaza on Smith Road. Great nails don't happen by chance. They happen by appointment. The Nail Palace, 526-1217.
Between the traffic, the meetings, kids' activities, there just isn't enough time. Best Health Pharmacy was a game changer. Not only are they centrally located on Eastern Avenue, but they deliver prescriptions for free anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. I could not believe it. When my prescription ran out, they ran it back to me. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue, across from Edie's Decor, offering free prescription delivery anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. Call 949-1301 or WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358. Best Health Pharmacy. Your health, your convenience is their priority.
Row Variety, centrally located in Tropical Plaza on Smith Road, carrying a wide range of household items, bathroom accessories, towels, clocks, handbags, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and more, and more, and more. You can buy from the big box retailers or support local. The better deals come from shopping local. Row Variety Store, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Telephone 924-9553.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you very much for listening and sharing. And as we go to the phones, let's welcome this caller. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Good afternoon today. How are you?
Doing good so far. Finally using the WhatsApp call again.
Again, what I say, you build it, they will come, so we're making it more accessible. Hopefully, we'll get it there, man. But thank you for taking time to share.
Yeah. Yes, sir. What I'd like to talk about today, right, is like, I understand that certain platforms support certain things, right? Here in the Cayman Islands, when it comes into radio stations, and I have no thing against anything what a specific platform is saying or anything like this, right? No problems whatsoever. I support what I want to believe in, but when it comes into the fact that you can be cancelled by feelings, like certain platforms, maybe they don't feel comfortable about speaking about certain things, doesn't mean that it shouldn't be said. You're only comfort to the lies that you believe in. And this is the thing. This morning I was engaging in the conversation on Cayman Mall Road. But then there's people that want me to be cancelled because maybe I might be engaging into a conversation that they don't give a damn about. But that's none of my problem. I mean, I'm listening to things that I probably don't care about either, but I support it because it does consider people's feelings. And I don't think that it should be anybody's
dictate to me that I cannot speak about a specific topic.
But is that the challenge that we have in the world today, but in particular in the Cayman, this notion, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know much, or probably was even aware of this idea, this notion of cancel culture, right? And
yeah, me either.
I only learned that now in recent times, you know. Maybe it's a new thing, I don't know. But let me...
From my understanding of it, right, that there's a soft language out there, but there's a lot of people that don't like to be called old people. They'll prefer to be called senior citizens. And then there's a lot of people that don't like to be called biased, but they're people that have different preferences.
Right.
You see?
But I mean...
There's a soft language that's going out there that is really messing around with our democracy, in my opinion.
Yeah. I like the fact that you're not only willing to share, but you seem to be a person that gives some considered thought to your opinions, right? And let's take an old person, you know, we use that phrase. For some of us, we don't say that to be disrespectful or derogatory. And there are some people who will tell you straight up, and I won't call any names, but I know I've had them in the studio and they've said it very much. They don't mind being called old because guess what? They thank God for being able to live to the age that they're at, right?
Exactly.
Now, I say that to ask, as you shared with your phrase soft language, are we engaging in semantics and euphemisms as opposed to, you know, sincerity and straightforwardness? You know, someone passes away, you know, we can say that very kindly, as opposed to some of the headlines, you know, actor found dead or whichever, right? So there's a way to be polite and respectful and sensitive, but there's also a way to be direct and deliberate on a personal level. Talking to a friend.
Yeah.
And I find that sometimes in conversation with her, had I been more direct, right? Instead of, you know, what some of us tend to do, you know, beat around the bush. You know, you want to go somewhere, you want to do something, you want to get something to eat, but instead of saying directly, you know, this is what you want, you kind of go around in a roundabout way.
And prefer to hear other people's opinions.
Yeah.
Like you feel comfortable that you don't not be the only one that's thinking the same way.
Right. So with that now, it would appear that something has happened in recent times. Maybe we've become more cognizant of it. Maybe it's a new thing. But we become intolerant. You know, two people who otherwise could have a meaningful, engaged conversation about any subject, all of a sudden now can't talk to each other because they have a different opinion.
Yeah, that is a very dangerous thing. I believe that when there's a person that does not want to acknowledge what you're saying, that's a very selfish person. Now, I hear on so many occasions her statement of sexual harassment and all these things. I have my opinions on that as well, but nobody wants to hear that as well, because as far as I know, that nobody believes that prostitutes would go to heaven before the Christians and the sinners.
Well, this
you understand what I mean?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Yeah, we're told there'll be three surprises in heaven.
Yeah, because like how it was in the Bible days, you know, what Jesus said, the first person that casts a stone, if you're better than them, cast that stone. Right? As an example, that if you feel like you're better than me, why don't you just cast a stone if you think you're better than me? Then, you know,
but
like
let me ask of you.
I use marijuana.
Yeah. Let me ask of you, right? If I may, sorry. Let me ask of you. Are we somehow found ourselves in a space where when we're trying to express ourselves, you know, we're not that great at the communication, but maybe the emotion, the fear, the frustration, the language barrier, whatever way, somehow we can't find a way to respectfully say what we want to say. We can be very direct, deliberate, almost insistent, adamant, but we got to use expletives in an aggressive tone. And or B, are we who now are listening to this thing, we're now intolerant. We find the behavior to be incorrigible. We're so insistent that the only view is our view, and we don't want to hear nothing from anybody else. So is that perhaps maybe a little bit of both, maybe one or the other? Is that what is happening somehow?
It's influence. Okay, like say for example now, right? In her mind, I'm still gonna stick on this situation because I'm talking about Cayman Mall Road, how they want to cancel me, how they want to ban me, block me, whatever they want to call it, right? Because of one particular person just do not like my point of view. I don't think that's right, because at the end of the day, if I do that to you, you're not going to like it as well. Now, Mr. Sterling, you know me good. I don't like to speak no lies. I speak my mind. You can hear from my conversations that I'm not afraid to insult anybody as well if they feel offended by what I'm saying, because in order for me to think, I have to risk insulting certain people. Not certain people, you know, but a majority of people as well that maybe might be referring to. But that's me thinking. That's me thinking. If I see someone out here killing an animal and I think that that's wrong, don't you think I have the right to speak up about that?
Yeah. Well, it's the thing where I think. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then when I would speak up about something, maybe it might offend you by me saying, you know, alcoholics are worse than marijuana smokers. And if I say that, that's my opinion. I'm not saying that it's true, but I've witnessed things that I've seen, and I could probably say in my behalf that I know a lot of smart individuals that drink alcohol and smoke marijuana. So it goes both ways when you think about it, because not everybody thinks the same. Not everybody thinks the same, and I think that this whole entire blocking people because you don't like what they're saying is dangerous for, like what I say, in our democracy is dangerous. It's very dangerous. If you can stop me from saying what I want to say, because I think it has to be said, and there's nobody thinking the same way as me, why can't it be acknowledged and reviewed? I mean, they're reviewing acts all the time, right? Aren't they? Because maybe you might be making a mistake on this one act. I might need to change it a little bit.
I'm wondering though, to what extent as people, but in particular as this society, whether we are sufficiently considerate, not just tolerant and accepting, but courageous enough to listen to what somebody is saying, be deliberate in trying to assess and analyze, and then when we respond, we're responding from an informed perspective. There are those of us who love to engage with people who have different opinions, because then it either encourages us in our own opinion, or it reminds us that we can learn if we would listen. Now, some people only want to talk into, a vacuum. Others want to have an echo chamber as their own sphere. As we quickly go to the break, though, any final thoughts?
No, I would just like to say that I enjoy engaging with the community, with you particularly. You're like what I said, you're my favorite talk show host, as I can say, on the island.
But am I the only talk show host? Are there others? No, just kidding. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I like engaging, so just keep it up.
Yeah, man. But thanks for the encouragement, and let's remain resourceful and respectful, and let's be reminded that if we're going to make a meaningful contribution, we've got to be willing to have that sense of commitment, dedication. But I'll share a bit more as Susan gives me her philosophical poems to read when we come back. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist, or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The 9th annual Little Cayman Agriculture Show has returned. Saturday, April 29th at Blossom Village Park. Radio Cayman will be broadcasting live from Little Cayman starting at 10 a.m. Celebrate Caymanian culture and enjoy cool sea breezes, agricultural displays, competitions, and entertainment. Radio Cayman's broadcast of the Little Cayman Agriculture Show is brought to you by L&M Variety Store, Baha'i Faith, Foster's, UCCI, Cayman National, Kirkconnell Market, Cayman Brack Power and Light, and the Little Cayman National Trust.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for sharing with us. Just over about 12 minutes left in today's show. We invite you to call and share your thoughts if you so wish. 949-8037, 949-6990, or toll free with the compliments of Flo, 1-800-534-8255. And of course, WhatsApp. Do it as you wish, as you would normally. Call, voice note, send through something for us to read. Hey, whatever you choose. We now have that tested and ready to roll. All right, let's go to the phones and take all these calls. Welcome, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon to all our listeners.
And to you, Mr. Raymond, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I just had a call from Grand Cayman from a friend of the seafarer, Mr. Rudy Powery, the late Rudy Powery.
Yes, sir.
Another great man that we have lost from Grand Cayman. Used to work on the ships as a seafarer.
Yes, sir.
Got a call from a friend asking to do a tribute in his memory as remembrance towards him because he traveled many places around the world. And I just accomplished that. I have a ship that is going to pass off of South Sound tonight around 10 p.m. An ore carrier, which is loaded with iron ore pellets, where many of the Caymanian seamen work with National Bulk on the ore carriers transported in their times. The ship is loaded with iron ore pellets from Brazil going to Convent, Louisiana. To discharge them, they're like round balls of steel, and they will be discharged at the dock and put into a big pile. Then they load it from there and take it to the processing plant and melt those balls out for making steel plates, for making cars, bulldozers, excavators, some of everything you can think about. So that's where our metal products and steel products come from, those iron ore balls and iron ore slabs and steel slabs, etc. Quite interesting. Anyway, I made contact with the Nordic Odyssey. It's one of the few ships in the world that actually called the fish mouth ship. They have a painting on the bow resembling a fish mouth, more like a grouper mouth than a shark mouth, with all the teeth painted right across the bow. I think there's 19 teeth at the top and 17 at the bottom. The most impressive looking, and that should be just above the water line where the ship is loaded 47 feet on the water draft. And that fish mouth comes from around the port bow right around to the starboard side, port side around to the starboard side. And it's quite impressive looking, all these big white teeth on the ship's bow as it's moving through the water. It's called the fish mouth ship. Otherwise, the European company had that painting done on their ship to signify the maritime fisheries, contributing toward the world's fisheries, and that is a unique ship to be carrying out the tribute for Mr. Rudy Powery. And the man that I made the request to was a Ukrainian officer.
Yeah. Mr. Raymond, thank you, man. You know, are people being respected that way, but are people being reminded to, through you, reach out to the passing vessels just commendable. Respectful, sir. Given it the time, let us take these last couple of calls. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hi, how are you doing?
Excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I want to talk about this idea of dialogue. I like the word that you use, dialogue.
Yes, thank you.
Some people think of dialogue as warfare.
Huh.
Some people think of it as the plague. And some people think that it's a privilege that only some should be able to engage in. And it means that once they have an opinion, nobody else should have an opinion. And it would be considered unpatriotic for you to say something that offends them, which I find interesting because that strikes at the very core of the right to freedom of expression, what the essence of it really means. Because you have people who, on one hand, are willing to say things to you that you strongly disagree with, but when you say things that they strongly disagree with, they call it offensive. And therefore you shouldn't be able to say it, but they should be able to say it, which I find interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The truth of the matter is that unless we understand that dialogue is important and that it's necessary, and that, yes, sometimes you're going to say things that will offend other people, but that doesn't mean that you're just simply saying it because you want to hurt someone. It's just that you fundamentally disagree with their perspective. What should happen when that occurs is for people to explain why they feel that their position is the appropriate one, not dislike the person or hate and, carry hard feelings because someone disagrees with you. That's not civilized. That is uncivilized. So the point that I often try to make when it comes to this question about what is free speech is that you have to understand that if we are not free to talk about issues and let bad ideas die, we end up in a situation in which we fight and kill each other, and we ourselves literally die. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because without dialogue, it's not going to end well for anybody. It'll be tolerated for a while, and then it'll become unbearable, and, it just won't work. How do I know that? Well, we tried that before, and that's the reason we have freedom of expression today, because the other way doesn't work.
But that's the thing. I mean, if we don't have the dialogue, I know we do have another caller, we'll get to that caller shortly, but that dialogue, hopefully through some semblance of diplomacy, can lead to a meaningful discussion that can result in some sort of positive decision making. But if we have a reapplication, as it were, of the golden rule, I have the goal, I have the gun, therefore it's my rule, then that's no different than a bullying situation.
Exactly. But unfortunately, if you happen to be the government, you get an exception to the rule. And you get to bully. And let me give you a practical example as to how our society does not engage in dialogue properly. Think about the talk shows. And I want you to tell me the last time you saw different factions of the political class come on the air and have a discussion about why each side feels differently about particular issues. When last did you see that?
Well, even just widely, I would probably say that there are some in our society who would disagree that we even have political classes, that there are no there are no differences. We're all voters. We're all in the same boat. There's no political class. There's no labeling and division.
If we had a few hours, I could explain to you why that's wrong. I'll give the next caller. Take care.
I'll have a chair for you at some point, man. I can offer up a soliloquy. All right, man. Hey, I always enjoy when people listen. Thanks for that, caller, being so accommodating. Let's take what may most likely be the final call. Good afternoon.
Hi, Sterling. How you doing? I call you Sterling some days and Dwayne some others, but...
Listen, thank you. My parents christened me Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. My initials are SDE, and the thing that I like is, if you wouldn't mind, no matter how you refer to me, I always feel that it is with a warmth and a sense of love and respect and a desire. So thank you. All right.
You know, freedom of expression for us is really... I mean, it boils down to people having that right to express. All people express themselves, you know what I mean, whether it's to participate in political discussion or regular social life issues. But you see, it's some of what the caller said before is you can't have your cake and eat it too. So it can't be that I have to sit and listen to you, but because my opinion different from yours, I get blocked. But I'll say to that young man, if you got blocked, sometimes the Lord save us from things that we don't need. And I would look at another forum, create your own. At this point, you have the ability to do that. Start your own. You got all of the technology to do that. And as a young man and a young person with that sort of stamina and the need and the desire to have the opinions and to have the dialogue, start doing something for yourself, because nobody can stifle you. Nobody can really shut you down the way that the world is at the moment, because if we can't shut down the hatred, we certainly can't shut down the other stuff. So it don't balance out sometimes, and I can hear the hurt, and I can appreciate where he's coming from. Whether I agree with what he says or not, that's not the point of the discussion, because I know that you get callers where you all differ. And there's that saying that says, you know, we agree to disagree. But this unequivocal sort of one-sidedness where we decide, whoops, don't like what you're saying, block. I don't like you either, block. But yet we are an open forum. That don't make any sense.
But is that a lack of tolerance? And I say this just generally speaking. Is that a lack of tolerance, security? Is it a lack of, I don't want to say intellect. People may misunderstand that in thinking that I only mean academically, but this common sense. Now, we see it in PTAs, we see it in the church group, we see it in the political discussions, we see it amongst our friends sitting around, you know, playing a game of dominoes, or, well, maybe not there. It's probably one place where you get a little bit of sense. But, you know, sitting by the restaurant table. Is it that in society, only the people that agree with us, my friend talks about, as he refers to it as this, you know, echo chamber, only those who are agreeing with each other, boy, can we meet. The rest of you who don't sing from the same hymnal, we don't want to hear you, see you, or engage with you.
Well, you better hush your nose.
Yeah, that don't work well for me, you know.
No, that doesn't work, and it's unfortunate that this time in society, we have gotten ourselves to that, because my family and I have been blasted for things that were untrue, and I chose not to engage in that. I talk about it now because I'm at a place that I am calmer, and I'm in a place that I can talk about it without it causing pain and hurt the way it was causing. And it wasn't that I became silent because I was afraid, because I'm not afraid. I just chose to be silent because I saved other people from my wrath. That's how I look at it. And a lot of people choose that. You know, my mother always said to me, if you take any example from our previous Queen Elizabeth II, was that she remained silent many times.
Such grace, huh?
Such grace.
Yeah,
and
man.
that became something for me over the last 15 months for me to reflect on and say, she had the power to say much, but in most of her reign, she said little, and it was commended. And whether people agreed with her or not, it left you to either wonder where she was at, and maybe she felt certain ways, but because of whatever her upbringing was or whatever her nature was, it was that I will remain silent, or if I do speak, it's going to be and whatever. And that, I'll never come on to this radio show if I haven't put myself with a little bit of research and a little bit of wherewithal before I speak. And that's something else I would also say to persons. Engaging is one thing, but engage in such a way that you leave your listener with something to think about, and whether they agree with you is not the issue. You're not coming on to have an agreement. You're coming on to say, this is how I feel and view this topic.
Indeed.
But I commend you for not behaving that way at a radio station and being a hog to people, because that's not how we need to operate.
Oh, but thank you for that. And I think in what you shared, if I may, I beg Ms. Susan for a couple of extra hours, it's to be reminded that the greatest exercise of power is restraint. Queen Elizabeth is somebody that I think, despite what may have transpired, I absolutely admire, simply because of what you shared. She had this grace, this presence, right? I can't tell you what she did and didn't do, and what she faced, and what she thought, and what she felt, because, if I could meet her as a person, as a woman, as an elderly person, if I can use that, I would be honored. To meet her as queen, I would not want that because of all the protocols. That's not my style. But we could learn so much from her example, right? And as I listen to what you're sharing, I'm mindful that as a people, we need to learn to speak, but speak with a sense of authority, but a sense of humility. Speak with a sense of respect, with a sense of responsibility. Speak from an informed perspective, right? And a desire to listen, to understand, as opposed to listening to respond, because that's the argument. And I'm about to, I believe, hopefully, as I'm prayerful about it, I'll understand what I do, but I'm about to embark on a personal experiment to see where it takes us, because we talk about courage, but we are cowards. We talk about conviction, but we want to be convicted. We talk about being sensible, but we're sentenced. Our people are no further ahead now, with all the resources and the wealth and the knowledge and the technology that we have. And if anything, I think we're further behind. But it's people like you who have a resolve that I really encouraged by. So thank you very much, Mom.
Finish with this. I went to prayer meeting last night with Pastor Randall Von Cannell, and I have to tell you, I learned a lot from him. He's got that same sort of Queen Elizabeth.
Yes.
And let me tell you, one of the things we talked about last night was 1 Thessalonians, and I would challenge that young man to read that. And what it talked about was to be kind and to take care of each other. And the one thing it said, mind your own business. and it was strong in that wording, because it wasn't about, I have an opinion and I have to have it said and it has to be. No, that wasn't what it meant. It was saying that have something to say. Lift the person up when you're saying it, or lift up the situation, or try to bring resolve to the situation. But oftentimes that's not our general modus operandi. Our modus operandi has now been how much pain and suffering, how much heartache, or how much embarrassment can I bring, or how many JAs of the day, and that's not Jamaican. We all know what the JA term is. I hate that term. I hate people feel that we resort to publicly embarrassing persons and calling them jackasses of the day, because that's what the JA means. And we've had so many young people being maimed by that, either from something that they've done silly, something they probably didn't think about, and then they've think, and it caused tremendous harm. I know of a situation where a young man had a parking issue, and as a result of that, he was, lost employment, and it caused grievous harm for him. And sometimes we also have to think about our actions and how will this impact. And if he was breaking a law, let the law deal with him, because that's the way it works. But we take so much into our own hands and our own matters, and we behave like we are godlike, and we are not. We are Christ followers, and that means that we are to behave Christ-like. And I may not be perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't ever really know that I want to be perfect, because I'd had to be like God and be God himself, and I don't think that was the intention. It was for us to make as best the decision. But in all we do, I'd ask people, do it and lift your brother or your sister up. Do it in such a way that you didn't turn around and got to look back over your shoulder and think, did I do something that caused so much harm and so much grief to somebody else that they now have to go and sort that all out? And was I responsible in my actions? But I leave you with that, and I thank you again for time and for continuing to be in the position you're in and your endeavors. I want to pray with you about that because I believe those endeavors will be well needed in this country.
Well, Lily, thank you for sharing that, and I commend you and others who are willing to join hands and hearts to stand in the gap. We're at an interesting place in human history. We're hearing allegations from many that the despots are through their power, or whether it's political or financial. And maybe we're misguided and misinformed and misled into thinking that their motives are ill-conceived and nefarious. But perhaps we're naive into thinking that they're not deliberate in trying to manipulate and somehow maneuver in such a way that we are marginalized. But at the end of the day, it isn't for the great and the mighty to stand, it's for the masses to unite. It isn't through the picking up of a gun or a brick or a stone, as in the words of, Third World. It's about standing together with hearts of love, hands of compassion, and eyes that are open, and a willingness to work together. We can't walk the streets and be fearful. My mom always says, that we know who frightened. And at the end of the day, we got to call them as we see them. So if we have appointed or elected, if we are those who are relegated to the margins because we are so fearful and we lack courage, we're cowards. If we are unwilling to join together and look at the others in the streets and see that they are us and we are them, if we look in the mirror and are unwilling to castigate the bad behavior that we see in our own eyes, but we're willing to condemn the smallest of actions of others, then what are we? I would want to say because I hope it's not past tense, a friend who reminds me that the beauty in Cayman exists for all of us to share. But if we don't protect, promote, preserve, not only will we not enjoy it today, but we will not be here for tomorrow. And the sacrifices and service of our ancestors will be in vain. It is not, for each or any of us to believe that we're better. We just have to be better today than we were yesterday. I love this place, man. And sometimes my heart is so full that I have to be mindful that the emotion doesn't overtake the intellect. But when you see me stand and fight, it isn't because I'm looking for a war. It's because I'm willing to wage against the evil that prevails. Until tomorrow, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.